Gosh, lifelong learning, how the Maternity and Midwifery Forum can prepare you for study, promotion, and revalidation. And I'm delighted that Dr. Jenny Hall, who's the editor and the box set editor, Mattflix, is also a very well-known person. She's been a creatively educating for nursing and midwifery all of her career. Just ask her about her quilt. Fantastic. That even had an educational feel to it. Touch as well. And she's been developing reflective practice with other educators, and her passion is to view women's needs holistically, including recognizing spirituality. She was the previous editor for The Practicing Midwife. She's published widely, and she's done lots of research into things like spirituality, promoting dignity and respect in education, and human rights there again, experience of disabled women. So many thanks for joining us, Jenny, and welcome. And your screen, the screen, is now yours. Good morning.
Thank you. And
good afternoon.
Yes, indeed. Yes, I'm hungry. It's lunchtime. Right, hold on a minute. I've got to get my screen sorted out here. Sorry to everybody. Okay, here we go. Thank you very much, Sue, for your very kind invitation. Yes, please ask me about my quilt at some point. It's all online, so you can have a look at it. But that's not really what I'm going to be talking about today. We've got to think quite a bit about CPD at the moment, and it's great to have heard what Jackie was saying and about the new future midwife standards that we have in the UK. We're obviously going through a very challenging time with this pandemic, and at the moment I'm very aware that quite a lot of the CPD that's usually arranged in trusts has been postponed or has been changed, and obviously we're having to do quite a lot of this now online rather than meeting face to face, giving everybody a big hug, which is what we usually do. But it also means that we can have a very big global audience. And hello to everybody from all the different countries who are participating at the moment. Part of my focus really will be on what's going on here in the UK, but I do hope that you will be able to apply what I'm saying also to the situation that you are in whatever country you are in at the moment. But we all have a responsibility to keep up to date. But also, if you're going to be preparing for any kind of interview as a student or as a future student, some of you who might be participating or thinking about becoming midwives, but also as students, about how you can enhance your study and what you are using in your careers as a path to go onwards. You may think as a student that you will never have to do any study again. And I'm going to tell you that's completely wrong. This is where it begins, and your journey will now go on lifelong. And Sue and I will, having been part of this for a very long time, we're learning every day. And I've learnt already today some new things which I didn't know before. So to bear that in mind. I'm going to talk mainly really about the Midwifery Forum, which is what this conference is part of. Usually we're all meeting face to face as it is in that big picture. But now you can just imagine that all those people are actually watching or being participating in this online at some point today, which is quite a thought with me sitting here in my little room. The other way that we can obviously learn is through online learning. There are plenty of different packages that are out there, and I'm going to talk to you about Mattflix, which is something that is part of the forum and for which I've been editor over the past 18 months or so. And the other thing that has been running since the beginning of the lockdown that we had here in the UK last March, I believe, is the Midwifery Hour, which takes place on a Wednesday evening, which is hosted by the lovely Sue McDonald, and where we have speakers who come, usually up to 2, 3, sometimes last week I think it was 6, I think something was like that. talking about a particular topic that is relevant for midwifery. It's a very informal time, but it is actually also part of your learning, and you can include it as part of your learning time. So these are different resources that can help you. But coming back to a global perspective on midwifery is that actually in the ICM global standards for midwifery regulation, it is stated that midwifery competence involves lifelong learning. It's not going to go away. And that you've got to be able to demonstrate it in some way. Now, if you are in a different country to the UK, you may have a particular way of how you are demonstrating your continuing competence. So you've got to think about that in relation to the conference you're attending today and how you are going to evidence the fact that you have learned something in what you're doing today. In the NMC Code that we have, this is for nursing and midwifery, is that actually it does state as well that you have to keep up on continuing professional development activities, excuse me, that you have to keep your knowledge and skills up to date, and you have to take part in appropriate and regular learning and professional development activities. So it is there, it is written there, and it tells us that we must maintain our practice. So you have to think about how you are going to do that. And the other thing that we have in the UK is that we have revalidation every 3 years of our practice. And again, you might have something different in your country about how you do it. You may have nothing at all. If you do not have any kind of revalidation practice in your country, maybe you need to push for there to be something like this, or actually you need to think about how you could use these rules in order to maintain your own practice. So for us, over 3 years, we have to demonstrate that you've carried out 450 hours of practice. That doesn't need to be clinical practice. It could be education practice. It could be research practice. There are different ways that this can be maintained. You need to show evidence that you have carried out at least 35 hours of continual professional development, of which at least 20 of those must be participatory. And I'll go on to explain that a little bit more in a minute. You then also have to write 5 written reflective accounts. Now, those who are students at the moment might think, I'm always having to write reflections. Is it relevant? The answer is yes, it is. And you will continue to do that as a qualified midwife and need to think about how you're going to do that. And there will also be a reflective and confirmation discussion with somebody who will be called your confirmer, which could be actually anybody who's actually on the register, but somebody who is more experienced than you is how you should do it. But you can go to the website to go and have a proper look. And the other important thing to say is you must maintain accurate records of any CPD that you've undertaken. And this is how a lot of people seem to fall down when they get to suddenly realizing they have to revalidate, is that they haven't kept records over the past 3 years. Yes, it's very frustrating when you have to go back and think about all that you've done and actually how you're going to record that and keep it up to date. And these are the records must contain the actual method of CPD you've done, the description of the topic, how it related to your practice, the dates on which the activity was taken, and the number of hours, including whether they were participatory. And you have to identify it to the part of the code that's most relevant. Plus, you also have to have evidence that you undertook the CPD activity. That can sometimes be a bit tricky, but for conferences like we are doing today, you will get a certificate at the end. You can get a certificate for participating in Mattflix when I talk about that. And you can also, I'm not sure if we're doing certificates around midwifery hour, but I think perhaps it's something we need to be thinking about to show evidence that you have participated to be involved. And of course, anything else that you are involved in, whether it's a research activity or whether it's within practice, of making sure you keep these records. So I suggest you get yourself a journal or a diary, start jotting these things down, because I can assure you in 3 years' time, when you suddenly have to revalidate, it's very helpful to have these records or these notes that you have there. So talking about the Midwifery Forum, Maternity Forum, which is obviously what we're involved in today. The first thing is about participatory learning. The fact that you're part of this conference today means that you are participating, that you actually are participating in this. And the fact that you're attending the maternity festivals. And as I say, if you've got an attendance certificate at the end of it, or part of the midwifery hour each week, then you are participating, and that you can record that as participatory. The other activities that you can do is around personal learning. I've just realized it says personal leaning, which is probably not quite appropriate. So we'll just lean into this at the moment, about the Mattflix box sets, which I'm just going to talk about, which you can also subscribe to. And excuse me, I'm having a bit of a moment. What these are box sets that I have had the real privilege to be part of creating, of videos of the talks that have taken place over conferences over the past few years on particular subjects. I've drawn them together. So there's usually 5 or 6 videos and talks within those box sets. There are also video and audio links. Some of them actually are podcasts that you can do it as well. And they've got links to related research and government policy documents that are appropriate to those particular topic. So, for example, we have done one relating to behaviour in life, school and pregnancy. So that is around public health issues. And it will have links related to current research and government documents that are relevant to public health within that as well. There are also biographies of all the presenters so that you can follow them up. You can talk to them if you want to. And there are also additionally some reflective questions at the end of it so that you can show learning. And these are based on the NMC requirements for your revalidation. So you can then answer your reflective questions. I shall go back to this because you've got to evidence your learning. You can complete your Mattflix reflective questions. And also if you've listened to any sessions today that you want to reflect on, is that you can use those as well. And when you come to do your revalidation, then you will need to expand on it to a bit more depth, but at least you will have your notes there that you have used in relation to your learning. There are going to be more box sets coming out very soon. We're working on them a lot. There are we've got to 30, I think, different types of box sets, different topics, including ones for new students, for those who are newly qualified midwives. There's going to be one relating specifically to continuity of care, which is very important and hot topic for us at the moment. There are management ones, management related ones. So there are some for everybody. And for those who are perhaps seeking to be midwives as well, there's 1 or 2 there which are relevant for those who want to seek to be midwives. There are also multidisciplinary relevant ones, particularly around screening, for example. So they are relevant to everybody to look at. The other thing that they can be used for is as an education resource. For those who are educators and who are into starting to flip the classroom, I am very much of the let's not reinvent the wheel type of practice, that you don't need to kind of start all over again. There are a lot of resources out there, and these box sets also are relevant for doing that you can get your students to watch them, then to come back into the classroom to set up a debate and a discussion about the topics that you have asked them to watch. They can also be used in practice education within trusts as well. So they are relevant for everybody. There's now a catalogue as well of over 800 video presentations from these conferences, which is quite incredible. You think about all that expertise that is out there, who are there recorded live, doing presentations as we are doing today, which can be used in teaching and learning across maternity, nursing, and other related courses as well. So what we would ask you to do is to ask your university department or your maternity unit to get a subscription for staff, for everybody, so that they can be used to get regular updates, they can be used for students, to get free new material like the presentations from Jackie Dunkley-Bent, who's the chief midwife, or the NMC that are today, that are relevant for everybody, because keeping up to date has never been more important. And certainly with the issues going around with COVID and the rapid changes that are going on with research and things that are coming out from the NHS at the moment, we all need to be keeping our finger on the pulse in order to provide the best care for women and their babies. So there are lots of ways that you can connect with us, as you can see. I've been tweeting all morning. We've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got the Maternity and Midwifery Hour. And I hope if you've not come across any of those things, do come and join us on a Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock, between 7 and 8 o'clock, with your dinner, if you've not had a chance to eat, and to come and chat and to listen. It's great fun apart from anything else, and it's been a very supportive time for everybody during this time of the pandemic. And thank you very much for everybody who has been part of this and for listening today, and I'm very happy to take any questions about anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Fabulous. All summed up in perfect timing as well. I've had one comment so far, and remember, you can ask Jenny anything now on this CPD session. Well, because I suppose that, well, I'll mention it in a minute anyway. Michelle B, hi Michelle, who is an RTP midwife. Well, welcome back. Fabulous. And she says, I've found the Maternity and Midwifery Forum and Mattflix such a valuable resource and enjoy tuning into Midwifery Hour every week. Well, we'll see you next Wednesday as well. So thank you for that, Michelle. That's great.
Yeah, brilliant.
It is fab. I mean, perhaps I could ask you, Jenny, because you talked about promotion. I mean, we've talked about developing self, and I was just thinking, because there has been some discussion, I think, on Twitter about some people who find it quite difficult to get ahead and get promotion, and whether the CPD activity helps in that, or how it could help. And I know there's been a fantastic thing from Alicia Burnett on how to apply to become a qualified midwife. But that's another event. But sorry, Jenny.
No, carry on. That's great. We could just chat now, can't we?
Yes.
I think it is vitally important, if you're going to think about your future, and you're not just a midwife. I'm just going to say that now, because you are special, and throughout the world, midwives are absolutely fantastic. But you might sort of get a bit of a feeling that you have a particular topic that you want to take further, or it might be an opportunity is coming up in your trust to be a consultant midwife, to be involved in screening, or it might actually be that you want to become an educator. Before you can even think about applying for a job like that, you need to think about, actually, have you got the skills for it? If you haven't got the skills for it, what do I need to learn? How am I going to get through this interview? What sort of things do I need to get up to date with if I have not been up to date? For example, if you want to be a screening midwife, are you truly up to date with all the things that are going on with screening? I mean, it was great to hear about the hepatitis B issues that are going on as well. because it's just so important to keep that going. And for anybody who has written articles or written books or editing books at the moment, Sue McDonald, is that it can take up to 2 years for a book to be written to get into publication physically. By which time some of the things that are actually written in that book could be out of date. And the amazing thing about using these conferences is that you're getting actually very up-to-date information that is coming straight to your screen, whether it's on a phone or if it's actually on the computer or a podcast, is that it is absolutely up to date. And I think if you are going to apply for any jobs, don't just look at textbooks. And of course, they are important. They are important.
Yes.
But it is about actually making sure that you are fully up to date in order to present across your knowledge and your skills. I'm not sure I really answered the question completely,
but that was a good answer. I think it's the idea of preparation, because I think when you go for a job, you need to look at the job description, see what it is. But sometimes it's like a bit like when Benish was talking earlier. She actually went for one job, but has kind of shaped it to what it needs to be.
Absolutely.
And midwives are very good at that, I have to say. Very good on that. Anyway, I've been very greedy with that question now. And then we've got Siobhan Callahan has said the midwifery hour has been a great way of addressing self-care. True.
Yes,
and always leaves me with a smile. Fabulous. Thank you for that. And then Michelle B said, actually, it's been my main support. And then we have Deborah Ramsey would like to know, thank you, Jenny, she says, what is the cost of an entire unit subscribing to Mattflix? Oh, that's a tricky one. A whole unit?
I'm not sure. Do you
That's a good question. You've floored Jenny.
Well, you have slightly, because I don't quite know whether you mean a unit or actually you can get a year subscription where you will actually get every box set that comes out. To be honest, I haven't got the absolute up-to-date figures. Sorry, Catherine, did you say something to me then? No, exactly. I think you have actually got special rates. If you go back to my screen that I did the last screen, it actually says that there is a special rate if you're registering for the conference. So I'm being a little bit hesitant. I think it's $5.99 actually, something like that.
Wow.
So it is worth just going on to the website, and I'm sorry I can't answer you specifically. So for that, because it has, as Catherine has just told me, it has changed. So can I ask you just to go to the website and to register from the point of view that you have been at the conference, and you will find that there is a reduction.
Yeah.
But we are trying to get universities to buy into it as well, and trusts, in order to make sure that it's available to everybody free.
Yeah.
So if you can get back to your trust and your libraries and go and speak to them about it and say, look, they think this is going to be a good resource for everybody, then hopefully then it will be free for you anyway.
Yeah. I mean, in the meantime, you could just have an individual subscription.
Exactly.
To start things off and and sort of almost sample and see it. Try before you buy the full event for your midwifery event. But having said that, you will get this whole box set for free. Absolutely. And you can share with everyone. We're very happy that you share with everyone. That's always been the way. The box sets are more curated and more themed.
Yes, they are.
If you can imagine 800 hours has been percolated to being much more manageable and digestible, I would say. Would that be right, Jenny?
I mean, you can go and search for yourself on YouTube. You can go out there and do that. But then the problem is, then the next one that comes along is not the subject that you're looking for, and you then have to go go and search for it again. And basically I've taken that away from you, so you don't have to do that searching, that you can go for a particular topic, let's say screening, and then you've got those 5 videos that are in there. You've also got references, so you don't have to go and look those up either. They've got a whole list of them, and you've got reflective questions. So it's like it's a whole package for you to do it, but you can go off and do it yourself anyway.
I guess at this time, when we're so stretched, having an easy option of having everything in a nice chunk done for you is a kind of benefit. And it might be for those of you out there who've suddenly realized you're due to revalidate, like in 3 months' time, and you haven't kept everything ready, or you need some help. This is a marvelous tool for all of us, so we need to sort of share it around. I've got something from Marla Majora, and we often have Marla. Hi Marla, you're often at the maternity hour, I know. And she says, I love the midwifery chat hour. Thank you for that. Now we've got Francesca, who says, sorry if it's a silly question. There's no such thing as silly question.
No,
Francesca, would these be useful to a midwife that qualified in another European country and is thinking of moving to the UK?
Absolutely, definitely, because it is. Most of the talks, I suppose, are based in the UK. There are some international ones, and I will say that we have a lot of international speakers as well. For example, Lorna Davis came and spoke from New Zealand. It wasn't fantastic, wasn't it? So we do have international speakers, but I suppose if you are planning to come to the UK, it will help you, because there's quite a lot around the midwifery policies that we have in this country. So definitely.
Fabulous. And what a super question. We've had super questions. Thank you so much, Jenny. That's been fabulous.